Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into something incredibly unique and honestly surprisingly profound. We aren't looking at massive datasets or, sprawling research articles today. Instead, we're doing a forensic deconstruction of a solitary 17-word interrupted prompt. It's like a digital cry into the void. It tells this complete, vivid story of human ambition that just gets abruptly cut short by technological friction. By the end of this explainer, you're going to see exactly how much raw intent, strategic planning, and, well, ultimate defeat can be packed into just 17 tiny words.
So here is our source material in its absolute unedited entirety. I want you to read it with me and really pay attention to the exact pacing of these words as they unfold. Give me a financial story for YouTube, long video in USA English, and then a sudden jarring shift. Having problems. Do you feel that abrupt wall? That is literally the sound of an ambitious creative engine suddenly throwing a rod. It goes from a highly specific, confident command right into a sudden declaration of technical failure.
Part 1. A curious digital artifact. Since we strictly rely on the source material here, we're going to take this tiny text and place every single phrase under a microscope. Our 17 words actually break down into 5 distinct narrative categories. Think of it like a giant puzzle. We've got the action, give me, the subject, a financial story, the format, for YouTube long video, the target, in USA English, and finally, the conflict, having problems. It is absolutely astonishing to see how much dense, ambitious intent is packed into just a few rapid keystrokes. The user wasn't just typing randomly. They built a highly structured set of parameters, organizing their thought process sequentially right up until the exact moment the system, or, maybe their own internet connection, just totally failed them.
Part 2. Deciphering the financial request. Okay, let's dive into this by focusing purely on the thematic subject matter. Look at the confident directness of that opening command. Give me. There's no hesitation, no polite phrasing like, hey, could you please generate? No way. It is an imperative, direct instruction. And what exactly do they want? A financial story. This highlights a really clear intent to create an economic narrative, right? They aren't asking for raw financial data or a boring spreadsheet or a quick stock tip. They are explicitly asking for a story. They clearly recognize that in the world of content creation, numbers and finance only really resonate with an audience when they're wrapped in a compelling narrative structure.
Part 3. Targeting the YouTube medium. So right after that, our creator immediately shifts gears into the logistics of modern digital broadcasting. When we pull these specific parameters apart, the exact anatomy of the user's media targeting strategy becomes crystal clear. They aren't just throwing a story out into the ether hoping it lands. They've isolated the platform, YouTube. They've isolated the format, a long video. And they've isolated their target demographic and language. Honestly, it's a micro masterclass in establishing creative constraints executed in mere seconds. I actually want to pause here for a second because there is a wonderful bit of irony in the source text. The user is explicitly requesting a long video. They are totally gearing up for an extended duration media format, right? This in-depth, sweeping economic epic designed to hold an audience's attention for a really long time. Yet, to initiate this grand, lengthy project, they managed to communicate an extremely brief 17-word text before everything completely broke down. The contrast between the sprawling ambition of a long video and the extreme micro-brevity of the interrupted text is just, well, it's pretty funny if you think about it. Notice how this builds into a highly logical, structured sequence. Step 1, select the platform, YouTube. Step 2, define the format, long video. Step 3, set the demographics. This progression shows us that the user's mind was incredibly organized. They were successfully building this structured digital request in their head, checking all the right boxes for a content creator. They were doing everything perfectly, right up until the digital environment decided to stop cooperating. Before the total breakdown, we get this final piece of precision: USA and English. This precise geo-targeting emphasizes how clearly the user was narrowing down their demographic audience. They don't just want any financial story, they want an American financial story, delivered in English, tailored for a specific algorithmic audience. The targeting here is absolute and highly deliberate. Part 4. The sudden technical glitch. Because after all that careful planning, the momentum just completely halts. If we map out the chronological journey of this text, we can really see it fall apart.
At T0, we have the highly confident request, give me. At T1, we have the careful laying out of parameters, financial story, in USA, English. And then, at T2, a catastrophic collision. The confident command crashes abruptly into a literal wall of digital friction with the words, having problems. The timeline just ends in an error state.
Part 5. The unresolved ending. Which brings us right to the ultimate, dramatic cliffhanger of this whole explainer.
So the crucial point is these two final words, having problems. I really want you to consider the gravity of this sudden defeated ending. This sentence isn't finished. There's no punctuation. It is simply a blunt realization of failure. The user shifts from being this demanding director, give me a financial story, to a helpless observer of their own failing technology. The shift in power dynamics between the user and the machine is absolutely palpable in just these two final words.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What happens when an ambitious digital request meets a massive technical roadblock? I mean, we've all experienced this exact flavor of frustration. You have the perfect idea, you know exactly what you want to execute, you're typing it out with absolute clarity, and your internet drops, or the application freezes, or the server just times out. This tiny text snippet takes the abstract concept of digital failure and makes it feel highly relatable and super personal.
17. Exactly 17 words. That is literally all it took for our source text to convey immense creative ambition, precise strategic planning, platform targeting, and then immediately follow it up with total system failure. It's a stunningly efficient piece of modern tragedy. In 17 words, an entire project was born and subsequently interrupted.
And so we are left with a lingering question. Will this long-form American financial story ever be told? Did the creator refresh the page and start over? Or did this moment of friction kill the idea entirely? Will it remain forever trapped in the friction of the digital divide? It's a pretty powerful reminder of the fragility of our online communication. The next time you type out a request, remember these 17 words. And remember how quickly the bridge between our ideas and digital reality can simply declare that it is having problems. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you next time.